Hello, Carol Taylor-Kearney here at Powell Arts, and I am with artist Nathan Rutkowski and his two beautiful and colorful artworks, which will be part of our Changeling show that goes till November 20th. And Nathan is going to tell us about these two beautiful pieces.
Hi, everyone. This watercolor, acrylic on watercolor paper is part of like an ongoing series where I start off with an automatist practice where lines kind of create an image as I kind of move the brush or the drawing instrument around. It'll suggest an image to me, and then I also use trash material like pieces of cardboard and plastic bag, disposable plastic bags, other trash items to kind of break up the surface for more of that chance encounter experience as I'm kind of creating the image. And it just kind of suggested this malevolent figure as I was working. And I believe there was a storm occurring, a lot of flooding occurring at the time that I was making this, and it just in this New Jersey shape, abstract shape kind of suggested itself, and I just put it in there, and that's kind of where the title came from that one. But this is kind of part of my process, part of how I've been working for the past couple of years now. And then this particular piece, it's on corrugated cardboard, again using that kind of a automatist line. Chance lines, creating different forms and patterns that suggest themselves. And then I carve into the cardboard shapes that I feel kind of echo what's going on in the image. So you have an irregular bumpy surface here with materials glued in, and I felt as though the edges of the perimeter of the picture should be irregular. So just they echo one another, and this was done at the time when I was at a work-related function in Chincoteague, Virginia, and it just suggested that title to me, and I went with it.
And the title is?
Sunset over Chincoteague,
Virginia.
And the title of this one is Storm over Jersey. So experience related, but yet not too thought out, just kind of experienced. So,
Which is exactly what anybody who comes in to look at these pieces will do. They will experience it with their eyes, and they'll experience them with their physicality, because these are very physical.
Thank you.
Art.
Yeah, and have strong gesture.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Though I have to point out, I love that the New Jersey seems to be a piece of trash that's being brought through.
Yes.
As a New Jerseyan, I'm so proud.
It's a fun little detail there, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
No, and you really can see there seems to be two eyes back there.
yes.
So I really do see the suggestion of a figure, and of course the blues of the waterscape. Yep. And I think it's kind of interesting that in this one with its waterscape nature, and this one almost looks like fire.
Yeah.
Did you think of it in terms of, the elements?
That didn't really come into play too much. More as I think about it, as I analyze it, that kind of comes up.
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's okay.
Call my insulin pump. Sorry.
Don't worry, we'll just give it a call out in the video.
Yes. Thank you, insulin pump. Please be quiet. The other thing that I noticed with both of these is that there are elements of that come to look like nature. This almost looks like a tree or some kind of growth. We have all that going on in here.
Right.
These look like both figures, and they could also be trees.
Right.
So
definitely landscape comes into my thought process as I'm working. The figure comes into my thought process as I'm working. It'll suggest trees. It'll suggest nature. I like to play with that. Andre Masson used to do that a lot. And it's just nods to art history, nods to the outside world, but yet not. I don't want it to be too literal, just more suggestive. But I just kind of play with that.
Well, I know in your last On the last piece that you presented here, it had nods to figurative.
That's correct.
And you seem to have nods to figurative in all your work. Is figuration an important aspect of what you do?
Yes, I've worked with the figure. Carol and I went to the Pennsylvania Academy and was really strong on figure drawing. Even before I went to the academy, I was really focused on learning how to draw a figure and draw from nature. So it's hard for me to take that out of my whatever I make. It's just so much a part of me and so much a part of like how I think. So that's a
Well, what's interesting is that on the one hand, you're telling us that these are automatic, they're autonomous, where you can also see all this drawing that you do comes out in these pieces with this strong graphic lines, even with the way that you're moving the paint around, and even the way that you talk about cutting into this to make shapes. So what does graphic line and shape mean to you?
That's the excitement part of the art making. Like that's just a gut feel, a gut attraction to making a dynamic picture. And it's almost like there's artists that will model and indicate something and then finesse it and model it and model it and model it. Whereas I'm kind of more of I just act and I one act layered upon each other and just kind of express multiple times on the same surface. Kind of like a Willem de Kooning type of situation.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Where it's like it's never right, and you keep working it over to get it right, but it's never right. So there's a lot of artists that do that kind of thing. But that's kind of the surfaces that I work on are rough. My edges are rough. My marks are rough, even though they're graphic. So to get everything to tie together, like that's kind of that whole concept that I like to work on rough surfaces. I like to have rough edges, and my marks are kind of rough. So it's kind
but you also have precision in that you knew that this couldn't just be a squared surface.
Correct. That's true.
But you had to cut into the surface.
Yeah.
And you talked about you haven't talked, you've talked to me about, being so happy that these are just pinned in one area, and pinned in one area so that they
still have movement integrated within them,
Correct.
which I think is one of the most interesting things about your work, because it seems like it's very visceral, which implies movement, and you really feel it. I love how you use the corrugation of the cardboard to kind of bring out the shapes.
Yeah.
I also love how the shapes seem to grow from the ground.
Yeah.
And there's something about the way that the striation works in the bottom one that makes it feel like a memory presenting itself. And there's something about the storm over New Jersey that the quiet, like the bold blues that get more like less concentrated towards the center as the figure emerges, that feel like the swirling of a storm.
Yeah.
So I think you use your edges and your material and your gesture really effectively.
Thank you.
And you're such a humble person, but it takes all those components to, I think, make.
Thank you.
You're using a similar style, but there's very different in terms of.
Yeah.
And that speaks to, like, that says something about you as an artist.
Thank you. Yeah, it's so like to me, like design. The number one, like in any design, is material selection, and like the cardboard and is a decision. The plastic bags are a decision. The paper is a decision. So it all influences one another. So
The ultimate outcome.
Correct.
And I have to say that my insulin pump going off like this, it kind of reminds me of exactly the kind of reaction that even my insulin pump gives to this. That
It's excited.
It is. It's like, wowzers. So while you're doing wowzers, come in to Powell Arts through November 20th to see these two outstanding pieces of work by Nathan Rutkowski.
Thank you.